My name is Stephen Ross. This is my EDCU 4152 testimonial video. This course was designed for an aerospace audience. However, it is all about security, and as we all know, security applies just about everywhere. Interestingly, it's contacting our professional and personal lives more and more as time moves on. The learners for this training package are primarily from the audience that would be expected of all the employees of a 700-person company. However, it's not just for those, even though this is aerospace, that have hands on the aircraft or aircraft components. It's also for everyone who has activities related to the company. One of the things to keep in mind is that even people who work in finance, human resources, and the facilities cleaners have to meet the standards of security for this company. There are no prerequisite training courses per se, but there are certain prerequisites. It's interesting to note that not all prerequisites are prior learning. In this case, the prerequisites are also based upon actually being an employee or a contractor with this company. It's interesting to note that certain security classifications and other qualifiers apply when it comes to security training. My favorite incorporated student support is the Sharing It Forward forum. This forum is designed to be an introductory databank for students embarking on this learning. Students in the introduction module getting started with CSC will review the Sharing It Forward forum, then briefly scan through the contributions of prior learners. This is an introduction to the course that they're about to take, and at the same time it also provides access to some technology tips. Both the forum and the technology tips that are contained in there are also open to the students throughout the entire courseware as a kind of a FAQ, a frequently asked question data bank, when it comes to trying to figure out how to manage, for example, certain Moodle activities. The end result is a repository of student learning as they contribute their thoughts about new or interesting security-related concepts, and also their technology tips with future peers when they make their contributions at the end of their courseware to the Sharing It Forward forum. My assessment strategy has been consistently to maintain the group activities. As much as the learning was based on group activities, I feel the assessment should be too. It does take a little bit more organization and some more thoughtfulness in order to get group activities as an assessment to function so that you actually meet the goals, so that the people take away the key bits of information. Nonetheless, this was how I decided to proceed. The entry was a point of disagreement. My learning partner and I did have a few disagreements about what should be and what should not be, and he was a little bit taken aback, I think, but then also got a little upset about the fact that I was using a group journal entry. I felt that the discussions that would take place in order to answer the 5 guiding questions for the journal entry amongst the group would actually vary quite a lot from group to group, but at the same time, the discussions so that they could come up with a agreed upon answers for each one of the guiding questions would also cover quite a lot of the material that was within the courseware itself, not just straight to the answer, but also discussions of exactly how to phrase their response would also be beneficial. Also, I assigned 5 marks specifically for showing how the entire group worked on the responses. Evidence of group participation is how I characterized it. This I left completely open for the students to come up with their own way of providing evidence of group participation. Exactly how they will deal with this and exactly what I will see will be quite entertaining, I'm sure. But at the same time, it is clearly marked in the rubric, just like how the entire scoring for the whole assessment is within its rubric. There is a distinct possibility that some minor tweaking of the group journal entry may be needed in the future. However, that does not diminish the learning that those that identified the need for improvement didn't learn equally or more due to identifying the incongruity. Without doubt, the videos, not ever having been a person who took to the camera or a person comfortable being recorded, even by telephone answering machines, Video, effectively combining both video and audio recording. This has been challenging throughout my development efforts. I am not comfortable in front of the camera. That's probably pretty evident by now. I have through necessity learned a few tricks, if you will, and my learning partner has provided sound guidance in this regards. For example, positioning my reference notes in such a way that I do not glance a lot to my secondary screen. I do have another screen here. The fact of the matter is trying to maintain eye contact with the camera so that the students can see me watching them effectively is a very hard thing to do, especially when you also want to be able to see your notes. It does make a whole lot of sense why in the television industry they have prompters positioned quite appropriately, so the appearance is that they are looking in the camera. What most surprised and impressed me about the skills as I built this course, well, the natural intuitiveness of the Moodle platform. I did not go into multiple cycles trying to figure out this or that function. I was able to make use of many functions on the first try. This simplicity and intuitive use remains quite satisfying. Although initially disliked the means of play to learn, it was used from time to time, and it was limited, and the play to learn were minimal to the development of the platform. I actually found the platform pretty easy to adapt to, and after a while you started figuring out how to use other functions because you had figured out previous ones, and there is a lot of compatibility between how you do certain things. I think that's quite beneficial. A hurdle. My hurdle surrounded the resistance to play to learn. Not surprisingly, I've talked about this before and all of the concepts of generational learning and how being one or two generations removed from the constructs of the day do add a fair amount of difficulty. Primarily, I'm looking for something that's quite intuitive, and therefore you don't have to play to learn, that how you use something is abundantly clear from the very get-go. I know that programmers and engineers are of a different cut, and that's all right. But man, some of the stuff that they try to put us through, it is just too much. We have many examples of that where I work. I wish I could share them with you, but once again, security implications. Stepping from a prior construct into a world that is one or two generations removed is daunting and challenging, and I can express that quite clearly. My frustrations along the way contributed to my learning, yet at the moment of heightened frustration, you'd be hard-pressed to convince anyone that they were also learning. Nonetheless, it did happen to me, and more than once. How has my thinking changed? My thinking was steered heavily towards being left behind as technology was for the younger folks. That technology kept older folks from participating equally. The methods of e-learning technology certainly have changed, but these changes are not secret passwords or locks on the door as I once thought they were. They are, in fact, keys to the city, wherein the online version of learning opens all doors of every institution to everyone, irrelevant of their location. This method of learning has legs. It has a lot of places to go, and I'm sure that in the course of time it'll get there much faster than we originally expected. Thank you very much. This ends my testimonial. Have a good day. Goodbye.